Genesis chapter 31. Then he heard the words of Laban's sons, who said, Jacob has taken away everything that belonged to our father, and from what belonged to our father he has made all this glory. Jacob also saw Laban's face, and behold, it was not toward him as before. Then the Lord said to Jacob, Return to the land of your fathers and to your kindred, and I will be with you. So Jacob sent for Rachel and Leah to the field, to his flock. And he said to them, I see that your father's face is not toward me as before, but the God of my father has been with me. And you yourselves know that with all my toil I have served your father. But your father deceived me and changed my wages 10 times, but God did not allow him to harm me. When he said, The speckled ones shall be your wages, then all the flocks bore speckled ones. And when he said, The striped ones will be your wages, then all the flocks bore striped offspring. So God took away your father's livestock and gave it to me. And it came to pass at the time when the flock conceived, that I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the rams that covered the flock were striped, speckled, and spotted. And the angel of God said to me in a dream, Jacob. And I said, Here I am. And he said, Lift up your eyes now and see all the rams that cover the flock, that they are striped, speckled, and spotted, for I have seen all that Laban has done to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar, where you made a vow to me. Now arise, go out from this land and return to the land of your kindred. Then Rachel and Leah answered and said to him, Is there still any portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? Does he not consider us strangers? For he sold us, and he has taken all our money. For all the wealth that God has taken from our father belongs to us and our children. Now therefore, do all that God has commanded you. Then Jacob arose, putting his sons and his wives on the camels. And he took all his livestock and all his possessions that he had acquired, the livestock that he possessed, which he had acquired in Paddan Aram, to go to Isaac his father, in the land of Canaan. Now Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole the idols that her father had. And Jacob deceived Laban the Aramean, because he did not tell him that he was fleeing. So he fled with all that he had, and arose and crossed the river, and he went toward Mount Gilead. And on the 3rd day it was reported to Laban that Jacob had fled. Then he took his brothers with him and pursued him for 7 days, and he overtook him in Mount Gilead. But God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream by night and said to him, Be careful not to say anything good or bad to Jacob. So Laban overtook Jacob, and Jacob pitched his tent in the mountains. Laban and his brothers also pitched their tent in Mount Gilead. Then Laban said to Jacob, What have you done? You have deceived me and carried away my daughters like captives with the sword. Why did you flee secretly and deceive me without telling me, so that I could send you away with joy and singing, with tambourine and harp? Nor did you let me kiss my sons and daughters. You have acted foolishly in doing this. I had the power to harm you, but the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, Be careful not to speak to Jacob either good or bad. Now, if you were going away because you longed to return to your father's house, why did you steal my gods? Then Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I thought to myself, Perhaps you would carry off your daughters from me. Whoever you find your gods with, let him not live. Acknowledge before our brothers what is yours of what is with me, and take it for yourself. For Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. Then Laban went into Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the tents of both the maidservants, but he did not find them. Then he went out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's tent. But Rachel had taken the idols and put them in the camel's saddlebag, and sat on them, and Laban searched the whole tent, but did not find them. And she said to her father, Do not be angry with my master, that I cannot rise before you, for I have the custom of women. So he searched, but did not find the idols. Then Jacob became angry and contended with Laban. Jacob answered and said to Laban, What is my transgression? What is my sin, that you have pursued me so furiously? You have searched all my belongings. What have you found of all the belongings in your house? Put it here before my brothers and your brothers, and let them judge between us both. These 20 years I have been with you, your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried, and I have not eaten the rams of your flock. I did not bring you what was torn to pieces, I paid for it, you demanded from my hand what was stolen by day and what was stolen by night. I was like this, during the day the heat consumed me, and at night the frost, and my sleep fled from my eyes. I have been in your house 20 years now, 14 years I served you for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock, but you have changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham and the fear of Isaac had not been with me, surely you would have sent me away empty-handed. God has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and rebuked you last night. Then Laban answered and said to Jacob, These daughters are my daughters, and these sons are my sons, and this flock is my flock, and all that you see is mine, and what shall I do today to these my daughters, or to their sons whom they have borne? Now therefore come, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it be a witness between you and me. Then Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. And Jacob said to his brothers, Gather stones. And they took stones, and made a heap, and ate there upon the heap. And Laban called it Jegar-sahadutha, but Jacob called it Galeed. Then Laban said, This heap is a witness between me and you today. Therefore it was called Galeed. And Mizpah, for he said, May the Lord watch between me and you when we are out of one another's sight. If you mistreat my daughters, or if you take wives besides my daughters, no one is with us, see, God is witness between me and you. Laban also said to Jacob, Here is this heap, and here is this pillar that I have set up between me and you. This heap is a witness, and this pillar is a witness, that I will not pass this heap over to you, and that you will not pass this heap and this pillar over to me, to cause harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. And Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain, and invited his brothers to eat bread, and they ate bread and spent the night on the mountain. And Laban rose early in the morning, and kissed his sons and his daughters and blessed them, and departed, and Laban returned to his place. Chapter 32. Jacob also went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And Jacob said, when he saw them, This is God's army. So he called that place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers ahead of him to Esau his brother, to the land of Seir, the territory of Edom. And he instructed them, saying, Thus you shall say to my lord Esau, Thus says Jacob your servant, I have sojourned with Laban and have remained there until now. And I have oxen and donkeys, sheep, male and female servants, and I have sent to tell my lord, that I may find favor in your sight. And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, We went to your brother Esau, and he also is coming to meet you, and 400 men with him. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people who were with him, and the flocks, and the herds, and the camels, into 2 companies. For he said, If Esau comes to the one company and attacks it, then the other company will escape. Jacob also said, God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, the Lord, who said to me, Return to your land and to your kindred, and I will do you good. I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant. For with only my staff I crossed this Jordan, and now I have become 2 companies. Deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he come and attack me, and the mother with the children. And you said, I will surely do you good, and make your descendants as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. And he stayed there that night, and he took from what came to his hand a present for his brother Esau. 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams. 30 milk camels with their young, 40 cows and 10 bullocks, 20 female donkeys and 10 male donkeys. And he gave them into the hand of his servants, each flock by itself, and said to his servants, Pass on before me, and put a space between flock and flock. And he commanded the first, saying, When Esau my brother meets you, and asks you, saying, Whose are you, and where are you going, and whose are these before you? Then you shall say, They are your servant Jacob's, a present that he sends to my lord Esau, and behold, he himself is also coming behind us. And he also commanded the second, and the third, and all who followed the flocks, saying, According to this same word you shall speak to Esau when you find him. And you shall say also, Behold, your servant Jacob is coming after us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goes before me, and afterward I will see his face, perhaps he will accept me. So the present went on ahead of him, but he himself spent that night in the camp. That same night he arose and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. He took them and sent them across the stream, and sent over all that he had. Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip so that his hip was dislocated as he wrestled with him. Then the man said, Let me go, for it is daybreak. But Jacob said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. And he said to him, What is your name? And he said, Jacob. Then he said, Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have struggled with God and with men, and have prevailed. And Jacob asked him, Please tell me your name. And he said, Why do you ask my name? And he blessed him there. So Jacob called the name of that place Peniel, saying, For I have seen God face to face, and my life has been preserved. And the sun rose upon him as he passed over Peniel, and he was limping because of his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel do not eat the sinew of the thigh that is upon the socket of the thigh, to this day, because the socket of Jacob's thigh touched the sinew of the thigh. Chapter 33. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau was coming, and 400 men with him. And he divided the children among Leah, and Rachel, and the 2 maidservants. And he put the maidservants and their children in front, and Leah and her children behind, and Rachel and Joseph last. And he himself went on before them, and bowed himself to the ground 7 times, until he came near to his brother. Then Esau ran to meet him, and embraced him, and fell on his neck, and kissed him, and they wept. Afterward he lifted up his eyes, and saw the women and the children, and said, Who are these with you? And he said, The children whom God has graciously given to your servant. Then the maidservants came near, they and their children, and bowed themselves. And Leah also came near with her children, and they bowed themselves, and then Joseph and Rachel came and bowed down. And Esau said, What good is all this company that I have met to you? And he said, To find favor in the sight of my Lord. But Esau said, I have enough, my brother, keep what you have for yourself. Then Jacob said, No, if now I have found favor in your sight, please accept my gift from my hand, for I have seen your face as one sees the face of God, and you have found favor in me. Please accept my blessing that has been brought to you, for God has graciously given it to me, and I have everything. And he urged him until he accepted it. And he said, Let us go on our way, and I will go before you. But he said to him, My Lord knows that these children are tender, and that I have with me ewes and cows that are nursing their young. If they are driven too hard for one day, all the flock will die. Now let my Lord go on ahead of his servant, and I will lead him slowly, at the pace of the livestock that are ahead of me and at the pace of the children, until I come to my Lord in Seir. And Esau said, Then let me leave some of my people with you. But he said, Why should I? Let me find favor in the eyes of my Lord. So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. But Jacob journeyed to Succoth and built himself a house and made booths for his livestock, therefore he called that place Succoth. And Jacob came safely to Salem, the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Paddan Aram, and he pitched his tent before the city. And he bought a parcel of ground, where he had pitched his tent, from the sons of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of money. And he built an altar there and called it, God, the God of Israel. Chapter 34. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, ruler of that land, saw her, and took her, and lay with her, and defiled her. And his soul was drawn to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the young woman and spoke tenderly to her. And Shechem spoke to Hamor his father, saying, Get me this young woman as my wife. When Jacob heard that Dinah his daughter had been violated, his sons were in the field with the livestock, and Jacob kept silent until they came. And Hamor, Shechem's father, went out to Jacob to speak with him. And Jacob's sons came from the field, hearing this, and the men were grieved, and were very angry, because Shechem had committed a folly in Israel, lying with Jacob's daughter, which should not be done. Then Hamor spoke to them, saying, My son Shechem is in love with your daughter, please give her to him as a wife. And intermarry with us, give us your daughters, and take our daughters for yourselves. And you shall dwell among us, and the land shall be before you, dwell in it and trade in it, and take possession of it. And Shechem said to her father and to her brothers, Let me find favor in your eyes, and I will give whatever you ask. Increase the dowry and the gift for me greatly, and I will give whatever you ask. Only give me the young woman as a wife. Then Jacob's sons answered Shechem and his father Hamor deceitfully, and spoke, because he had violated Dinah, his sister. They said to him, We cannot do this thing, to give our sister to a man who is not circumcised, for that would be a disgrace to us. But we will agree with you on this matter, if you become like us, let every male among you be circumcised. Then we will give you our daughters, and we will take your daughters, and we will dwell with you, and we will be one people. But if you will not listen to us and will not be circumcised, then we will take our daughter and go away. And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. So the young man did not delay in doing this, for Jacob's daughter pleased him, and he was the most honored of all his father's house. Then Hamor and his son Shechem came to the gate of their city and spoke to the men of their city, saying, These men are at peace with us, therefore they shall dwell in this land and trade in it, for the land is large enough for them. We will take their daughters as wives, and we will give them our daughters. On this matter, the men will agree to dwell with us, and we will become one people, if every male among us is circumcised as they are. But will not their livestock, their possessions, and all their animals belong to us? Let us only agree to them, and they will dwell with us. And all who went out of the gate of the city listened to Hamor and his son Shechem, and every male who went out of the gate of their city was circumcised. And it came to pass on the third day, when they were in the most violent pain, that Jacob's 2 sons, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, each took his sword, and boldly entered the city, and killed all the men. They also killed Hamor and his son Shechem with the edge of the sword, and they took Dinah from Shechem's house, and went out. The sons of Jacob came to the dead and plundered the city, because they had violated their sister. They took their flocks, their herds, their donkeys, and everything that was in the city and in the field. And they carried away all their goods, all their little ones, and their wives, and plundered everything that was in the house. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, You have troubled me, making me stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and Perizzites, since I have few people in number, they will gather against me and attack me, and I and my household will be destroyed. And they said, Should he treat our sister like a prostitute? Chapter 35. Then God said to Jacob, Arise, go up to Bethel and dwell there, and make an altar there to the God who appeared to you when you fled from the face of Esau your brother. So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, Put away the foreign gods that are among you, and purify yourselves, and change your garments. And let us arise and go up to Bethel, and I will make an altar there to the God who answered me in the day of my distress, and who has been with me in the way that I have gone. So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods that they had in their possession, and the earrings that were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the oak that is near Shechem. And they departed, and the terror of God fell upon the cities that were round about them, and they did not pursue after the sons of Jacob. So Jacob came to Luz, which is in the land of Canaan, that is, Bethel, he and all the people who were with him. And he built an altar there, and called that place El Bethel, because God had appeared to him there when he was fleeing from the face of his brother. And Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and she was buried under the oak tree at Bethel, and its name was called Allon-Bacuth. And God appeared to Jacob again when he came from Paddan Aram, and blessed him. And God said to him, Your name is Jacob, your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel shall be your name. So he called his name Israel. And God said to him, I am God Almighty, be fruitful and multiply, a nation, yes, a multitude of nations will come from you, and kings will proceed from your loins. And I will give to you the land that I gave to Abraham and to Isaac, and to your descendants after you I will give the land. And God went up from him, from the place where he had spoken with him. And Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he had spoken with him, a pillar of stone, and he poured a drink offering on it, and poured oil on it. And Jacob called the name of that place where God had spoken with him, Bethel. And they departed from Bethel, and there was still a little way to go to Ephrath, and Rachel gave birth, and she had hard labor in her childbirth. And it came to pass, as she was in labor, that the midwife said to her, Do not fear, for you will have this son also. And it came to pass, as her soul was departing, for she died, that she called his name Benoni, but his father called him Benjamin. So Rachel died, and she was buried on the way to Ephrath, which is Bethlehem. And Jacob set up a pillar over her grave, it is the pillar of Rachel's grave to this day. Then Israel journeyed on and pitched his tent beyond Migdal Eder. And it came to pass, while Israel dwelt in that land, that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard of it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. The sons of Leah, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, then Simeon and Levi, and Judah, and Issachar and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin. And the sons of Bilhah, Rachel's maidservant, Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's maidservant, Gad and Asher. These are the sons of Jacob, who were born to him in Paddan Aram. And Jacob came to his father Isaac at Mamre, to Kiriath-arba, which is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had sojourned. And the days of Isaac were 180 years. And Isaac breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people, old and full of days, and Esau and Jacob, his sons, buried him.